Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of my Machinima tutorial series. In this part, we will be talking about 3D animation as well as pseudo 3D. In this episode, we will be exporting our character from WoW model viewer to a 3D software, which in this case, I'm going to use Cinema 4D. So right now, I've loaded a character inside WoW model viewer and I've fixed the meshes such as the feet and the eye glows through model control here. If you're not sure on how to do it, check my tutorial on WoW Model Viewer. Link will be in the description down below. Now, WoW Model Viewer offers two types of exports. One is OBJ and another is FBX. OBJ will not export your character's bones, which will make your character hard to animate. It instead will export your whole character in the current state. So, for example, let me just pause the animation. If I were to click on export to OBJ, in this moment, the character will be exported exactly in this pose. On the other hand, FBX will export the character in T-pose, but includes bones and also allows you to export animations. So for the sake of tutorial, I'm going to export both FBX and OBJ, but I personally never used OBJ in my workflow. However, some other 3D Machinima does. So before exporting, I'm going to set the animation to face pose, because that's the closest animation to T-pose. You can use any face pose animation here. And we're going to click OBJ. Let's go to and I'm going to separate the folder. Say OBJ. And then the FBX. So for the animation, I'm going to export a walk, a stand animation, and an emote talk, and I usually also export hands close animation. Click OK. Export successfully. Now that it's exported, if I open the folder here, you can see that OBJ have the textures exported, but the FBX doesn't. No need to worry, because FBX textures are embedded inside the FBX and it will come out when I import the FBX to Cinema 4D or any other 3D softwares you are using. You can drag and drop it, or you can go to File and open, and let's go here. Okay, so leave everything to default. I'm not even sure if this is default, but none of this really matters as long as this is correct. The tracks, like, there's no difference in this. So what I want to highlight is you need to check the convert normals to Pong tag H bricks because I found it to be the best. And okay, it's loaded. Now this is my custom layout. Your Cinema 4D will definitely don't look like this. I'm not going to share my layout because as you can see I have some plugins over here and there and it might cause error, but you can just go to Window, Customization, and Customize Palettes here, and you can search anything that I'm about to click, and you can also customize your own layout. Okay, so back to the FBX. As you can see, the model is now imported in T-pose. I'm going to hide the bones because it makes it hard to look. And also, I'm going to, as you can see, like there's a bit of weird lighting there. It's reflections, so I'm going to select everything. Or actually, I'm going to first function, remove duplicate materials, and then I turn off the reflectance. Now we're not going to talk about reflectance in this part, but I might on other episodes, so we're just going to turn it off because it makes it hard to see things. Okay, so the model is in T-pose, and as you can see it's well textured. And if you go back, like there's a new folder here with .fbm, and the textures will be inside there. So next thing is you can see here the shoulders and helmet are located here. And you can of course move it around, but I don't really like doing that. And also sometimes the export will contain an error such that one of the size is not correct. So I don't find this to be reliable and I always delete it. And we're going to import our own armors, but if you want to use those exports, then go ahead if you want to adjust it, but there are some other methods that can be done. So most 3D machinimators use their OBJ export. Now this is one of the reasons why we export the OBJ in a T-pose so that we can utilize it here. So I'm gonna import my OBJ, the OBJ, not the MTL. MTL is for material if I'm not wrong, but yeah, it's not important. So okay, so first things first, and it's really important, you need to set the scale to 50 centimeters or else it won't match. And as you can see, this one have a correct position of the armor, helmet, and everything. But just going to select everything here, copy that, go back to our FBX and paste it. And I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. As you can see, it's now perfectly there, but it's not yet weighted. So for example, if I were to move the head, I wonder if this is the head. Okay, so if I were to rotate the head, the helmet won't follow. Helmet won't follow. And to fix that, it's quite simple. Like just select the bone and the helmet and then bind them. Okay, now as you can see, it's now fixed. Now but I personally dislike this method, so I came up with my own. First, let me just group it here and hide it. Okay, so we're back without armor. And what I'm going to do is return to WoW model viewer here. Go to the model control. And as you can see, there's listed items over here. I'm going to open a notepad. Then what I'm going to do, then I'm going to copy this, paste it there, helm as well. Now it depends on what else you're wearing. You can fill the list even more. Now I don't usually copy the left shoulder, right shoulder because the difference is only the first word, the first alphabet here. Now we go to the file list and I'm going to copy this part, paste it, and sure we need to remove the R, hit enter, and yep, we're just going to open it. And you can fix the textures here, but it usually doesn't matter because you already have the correct textures over here. So yeah, whatever, it's just exported. So Mayborn left shoulder. I usually don't export any animation, but if your shoulder pads or any other gear that you're exporting is animated, you might want to do that. So I'm going to do the same with the others. Might take a while. Okay, so we're done exporting it. Now we just need to import it here. I just need to copy it. No, wrong. Okay, so it's at the bottom. And you might think like, so why don't we just use the one that was exported originally? The biggest thing is that we have a bone over here. So instead of moving the mesh, you can move the bones instead. So where do we put the bones? If you notice, like there's dozens of bones here, and there's also these bones that are numbered 100 and higher. These bones does not actually affect the model in any way, but these bones are not totally useless because Blizzard usually use them for spell effects and also items. And yep, items. So we're going to use one of these bones to attach our armors. So as you can see, this is the right shoulder bone. I'm going to go here and with the arm, and you can see there is one bone over here that the number gap is so huge. This is where we're going to place our shoulders. It's right shoulder, so I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to center it. So put the coordinates to 0, 0, 0. And I'm going to do the same. So not that. Same with the left shoulders. And then for the head, I'm going to just put it here. Okay, so for the helmet, you simply need to put it under the head. So you don't need to find the 100 things. Just put it under the head. And let me fold all six. Okay, so as you can see over here, it's already placed, but we're not done yet. So if I were to unhide my OBJ, you can see that except the helmet, now it's flickering because it's on top of each other. I can hide the helmet, I think. I don't really need to see it. Now anything but the helmet is actually not placed where it's supposed to be. Like you can see the size and the rotation, they're all different. So this is one of the reasons why I export the hands close animation. So we can open it, and I'm going to copy the bones here. Go to FBX to hide it. So if we're going to go to our bones that we use to attach the shoulders, not the bones of the shoulders, but the one we use to attach them. Now we're going to find the exact same bone. So I'm going to just search 192. You can see there's a data in the scale and rotation. Ignore that it is keyframe, because as you can see there's only one keyframe, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to copy it. You can just Control C or edit, copy it, and then okay, so copy, paste it. Oh, I didn't copy the rotation. And now it's flickering, means that it's perfectly in place. Now we're going to do the same, but usually for shoulders, I just copy the same data here, place it there, and put a minus sign on the H and P. Okay, for some reason it doesn't work. Or is it this one? Okay, we're just going to copy it because it seems that it's different. Edit, copy, edit, edit, copy, edit, what? Edit, copy, edit, paste. There you go. Okay, so now it's perfectly in place. So some of you might wonder, like, why a hand close animation? So if I were to let's load Mayphone again. So we have Mayphone over here. And let's say I put a sword and a shield. Hang on. Let's say anything will do. Shields. Okay, so my friend have a shield and a sword here. If I were to put him in a face pose, the sword and shield will go to the center, to the 000 coordinates. But with the hands closed, it's perfectly on where it's supposed to go. And it's also really close to T pose. Like, you can see, like, it's close to the T pose. You can use any animation you want, like, as long as the sword and the shield is where they're supposed to belong. But I prefer on the hands closed animation. First, because it's close to P pose, and second, because I can use the closed hand animation to ease my workflow. And yep, that's basically why. So then you might wonder, like, what's the difference with this and the OBJ? So if I were to what's the difference between the OBJ and the FBX? You might ask, why should we do the FBX? As you can see, if I were to rotate, you can see this black kind of reflection. I don't know what to say about it. It's a problem with the normal tag. It's probably with this normal tag or something. I don't really know how to actually fix it, and it bothers me a bit, so I don't like it. And the second problem is that it's not on the center of mass. Like, you can see the anchor point is on the feet, on the 000 instead of the center of mass. It makes doing custom animations hard. Like, you need to work a little bit extra for it. And the third part is, if I were to subdivide it, okay, oh wait, that'd be hard to see. If I were to subdivide it, you can see that it's broken. Now, what subdivision surface? I'm going to explain later, do not worry, but I'm just going to show you that using subdivision surface to OBJ breaks it a lot. You can actually optimize it, but I don't really recommend optimizing something that isn't weighted properly, because it kind of tends to mess up. So, like, for example, if I were to optimize this, it surprisingly works well, but sometimes the face tends to breaks down because of how close it is to each other. So yeah, I don't really like subdividing an OBJ. While the FBX here, you can see it's placed on center of mass. At least the bones are. Why did it? Oh, hang on. Okay. You can see it's easier to move it this way rather than moving something like this. Like, it's just in my opinion, if you want to go to custom animations, I really recommend using FBX because they'll make the animating part easier. Also, you need to do a little bit extra on the setup, but it's always kind of like that. But if you're just going to use Blizzard animations, then you can use the OBJ. It's up to you. It's not wrong, but I prefer it the other way around. Oh, okay. So let me just delete this, and put up top. Okay, so we have our character set up, and it's perfectly weighted, so it's fine. Now, what we're going to do is what most 3D animators love, including myself. It's subdivision or smoothing. Now you can see that we already have a subdivision surface here. Some actually, not all. However, even if we turn it on and off, like there's nothing really happening. Nothing is happening. That's because you can see here there's an SDS wave. Now, I never use this. I personally never find any use for this, but I don't know, some people does, so. But I'll just delete it because I don't really like it. Now, you can see it actually start to change a little bit. Now I'm going to hide the shoulders first. You can see it better. You can see that it's a bit softer, less sharp, but there's something still wrong. As you can see, there's some holes here, some holes there, a lot of holes. So to fix it, all you need to do is click on the mesh and optimize it, and the holes will close. Right, that's just all that you need to do. Now usually I set the subdivision to 1, 1 and boundary because it maintains most sharp edges. Also the detail on the shapes, if you were to put it on the standard, like it's not really noticeable, but a lot of things shifts. So I usually just use boundary, but you can use anything that you think is good. Tom Shire used edge for some reason. I don't know why. I don't really like it, but I'm gonna stick with boundary. So we're going to do the same for the head and shoulders. Delete the SDS weight. Put it to 1, 1 boundary and optimize them. You can see it gets smooth. It gets really smooth. Now, some of the times, like mostly with weapons, I will turn off subdivision surface because imagine a smooth weapon. Like, how scary will that be? No one will be afraid of it. Okay, so one thing that I want to address before we're moving on is, for example, let me use, I hope I have it. Let's use this. Okay, let's use standard season over here. And oh, wait a minute. I can't do that. Oh, should I use? let's export something new. I'm going to activate. No, not indicate. It's just tablet. Export to object. Oops. Export to FBX. And then Machinima. Name for tablet. And for tablet. Okay, so here we have Mayfern, but he have a tablet over here. Now, if I am to delete it, put it to 1 boundary. Okay, so normally what we do, let me delete that iGlow. I hate iGlows. Normally what we do is that we just simply click it and optimize it. But you see what it does to the tablet. It looks ugly like this. Okay, now what's causing it? If I were to undo it and go to the mesh selection, you can see that the tablet actually is double. Okay, there's like two meshes on top of each other, like you can see it right here. This is due to Warcraft. Like Warcraft runs on an engine that doesn't support two phases of mesh. So Blizzard had to double this thing, and yeah, so that you can see it from front and back. But in 3D software, you don't need that. So what we're going to do is that we're going to delete one of them before, and after deleting one of them, only then we can optimize it. And you see it doesn't break. It's perfectly fine. Now also make sure that this is colored in yellow, not blue. So in case if it's blue like this, you can right click and reverse normal. The shortcut is UR, and yep, something like that. Now in case you forget to do this, no need to worry. You don't need to like repeat the whole process. That will be really time consuming. Let's use the back tablet because I didn't fix it. So if we go to this and you select the tablet, like the whole tablet, you can see that some of it are blue, some of it are yellow. Now all you need to do is flip the normals of the blue ones. So you select the blue ones. Okay, it's going to be time consuming because you can't tell which one is blue and which one is not. So just do it. And then again UR, and it's blue. Okay, it's blue. UR again. Oops. Okay, let's do select UR, and it's this part, and it's these two. Okay, so as you can see, it's now fixed. So it takes longer rather than you just delete one of the faces first, but it's a safe net, so it's a fairly safe method. And yep, it's working perfectly right now. So let me just close this. So we're going to move on to animations next. I'm just going to close everything, and we keep this, and I'm going to just save it like Mayform. There we go. So we're going to open our animations. Not the hands of this. Okay, so just going to copy it. This is the walk animation. To prevent confusion, it's going to name it. And there's this 10 over here. Oops. Then okay, so now go on stream. Why not? And the mode talk. Here. Okay, so to import the animations, you need to select all of these 4 bones, then right click, select children, and go to the very first frame here, and we're going to record everything. So basically what this button does, it's putting a keyframe on everything. And then go to the timeline over here. So you can see we got this one. And let's say I want him to walk before anything. So I'm just going to select the walk, wait until it's covered in yellow, copy it. It's a bit laggy around this part because there's a lot to select. Select this and paste it. Okay, it's not working. Copy, edit, paste. Okay, there we go. Now as you can see, it looks ugly, like what the hell is this? Now this is due to some of the keyframes, instead of being copied, undo. Why is the undo? Okay. Some of the keyframes, instead of being copied to the bones of your character, it's being copied to this bones, the item bones. So we must make sure that these bones does not have any keyframes. So select them all, select children, turn everything off. It's taking way too long. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to copy the walk animation, edit, copy, edit, paste, and it's perfectly good. If I were to play it, yep, it's walking fine. Now you can stretch this up, let's say up to 60, how about that, and it's going to walk slower, like this tempo of walking will be slower. And you can also shrink it down, like say 15, and it'll walk even faster. Now please keep in mind that the project is set to 30 FPS. So everything that happened is in 30 FPS. And also, once you shrink it, you stretch it out again, these last keyframes won't return to you. So you need to use undo for that. So let me just undo everything. Okay, so and then in case you want it to loop, like you want to add walk again, just click on any keyframes here, but I prefer to use the frontmost. Hold Control and then drag and drop everything. Say put it here. Like make sure you hold down Control. Now as you can see, after he walks, he will repeat the walk. Sometimes I just put like one more. I overlap the last frame because it's essentially the same with the first frame, so that there's less pause in there. Okay, so we're good. Now let's say I want to connect the animation with after he walks, he stops, and it's also easy. You can go to stand here, do the same with the walk, copy it, and use just the one edit. Control C is not reliable enough in Cinema 4D. Copy it, go to your rig, and make sure to move like after all the keyframes, otherwise when you paste it you will overlap the animation, like you overwrite it. And I usually put like 5 to 10 frames as a transition so that it's a bit smoother. Like just don't put them right after another, because it'll be like your character will be like jumping on, but also don't put it like way too long or there'll be like sudden lag. You need to eyeball it, basically like how long should it take, and yeah, whatever. So I'm pasting it and you can see it standing. So after walking 2 times it will stop. Now it's a bit rough, like people don't stop like that, but it's Machinima, like who cares? If you want to perfect the animation yourself, you can do it, like you can manage every single one, but I'm not going to do that. And even if I want to do that, I don't want to do it in the tutorial because they'll make it really long. And if you remember, like in the WoW model viewer, there's the lock animation here where you can put everything. If you want to do that, you can simply open up the it's always laggy around these parts because there's a ton of information that needed to be exposed. Not exposed, that's not the right word, whatever. So we need to go to the bones of the upper body, and for night elf it's 3, like bone 3 here. Let's say I want to talk. Now we're just going to do this. Oops, not the rotation. Okay, it's a bit laggy. Goes to. Okay, we don't need to expand that. So just like before, like select the bone and edit, copy, go down, and select the bone free over here. And let's say I want him to talk about here, like the 35th. Oops, something wrong. So I want to put it on the 35th frame here and just edit, paste it. Again, it's going to take a while. It's a bit like you can see that it's changed. So after you walk, like, no, this is what I talk about, not giving gap. Like, you can see it jumped right over. It's going to talk in the middle of walking and also stopping. Like, how cool is that? How cool is that? Now, so to prevent this, like, you can edit undo, and as before, I'm just going to put a 5 frame gap, so everything from oops, I want to move that. Edit, undo. So I'm going to select the 31st. Up to let's say, yeah. Now I think it should be about this long. Like, how long can I talk about it? I don't know, you can like try it yourself. I'm just demonstrating here. Select everything here, delete that. Then again, go to the 35th frame and edit, paste it. Okay, so I delete too much, but you get the idea. You can even count how many frames this is, so you can predict like how much you need to delete, but it's just for tutorial. And as you can see, after he walks, the transition is at least smoother. It doesn't jump right away. Now maybe playing it is a bad idea, but whatever. Yep, I cannot handle playing it with recording my screen. So, yep, that's about it. That's about importing your character and importing the animations. The next episode, we are going to talk about what is it? We're going to talk about creating your own rig, like a simple rig setup. I won't go way too advanced with it, and I'll also explain about FK and IK chains, using constraints, physical simulations for clots, hairs, and well, that kind of stuff. So thank you very much for watching. I'm really grateful if you are listening to me up to this far. Stay tuned for the next episode. Don't forget to watch my machinimas. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next episode of Machinima Tutorials. See you next time.